What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Frieren Season 2, Episode 7. In case you didn't see the post I made last week, I made a bit of an oopsie last week and didn't hit the record button before doing my entire reaction and analysis to Episode 6, so that's why that wasn't there last week, and to make up for that, I'm going to, at the start here, just do a real quick condensed version of my thoughts on the last episode, my analysis of the last episode, and then we'll get into episode 7. So if you're not interested in that, feel free to skip ahead to the next chapter where the reaction actually starts. Otherwise, yeah, I'll try to cover this quickly. So thinking back to last episode, really very much the two things that stand out the most to me were the two characters that we actually got to see more of again, that we were reunited with. Geno, I don't remember how to say his name, who is the real focus of the episode in my mind, and Methode, who has some interesting stuff to her as well, but just less so. And before I touch on them specifically, I also just generally want to acknowledge that the episode was very solid in my mind. It was very much a setup episode, very much sort of a slow burn in a lot of ways as we're moving into an actual arc, rather than these individual episode storylines. But they use their time well, they set the tone very well, I feel. All the sort of chaotic destruction of the cold open was very solid, the desperation of the people and the brutality of the demons was very well expressed. Then the sort of somberness of the aftermath as Geno and Methode are gathering the dead. But beyond that, it really mainly is character stuff for those two as they are just sort of hanging out, processing what happened, figuring out why each other is there, both the two of them and our group, as well as strategizing to hunt down the demon who was most directly responsible for this. This four-armed demon that, based on the ending tease for this episode from last episode, seems like it might be one of the demon generals. I'm also just very excited to see more of their fighting style being supposedly four-armed, wielding four swords. I feel like multi-armed enemies are always very cool and interesting, when done well at least, and I have trust in Frieren the show to deliver on that kind of thing. So if we get a proper fight scene with them, I'm super excited to see what that looks like. But now to get into the actual character stuff, starting with the more lesser focused of the two, Methode. I was a fan of Methode in season 1, and she very much in this episode continues sort of her usual vibe that we had from season 1, the limited amount we saw. She very much was more of a background character in season 1, so I'm hoping that going forward here we'll get to see a bit more of her. Though we do already in this last episode, episode 6, get a little bit further hinting towards some of her personality and knowledge and stuff like that. Because we knew already that she was a very capable mage, one that can also use goddess magic, and had some amount of knowledge of like hypnosis magic, almost sort of this generalist prodigy who at the end of the season was one of the people to become a first-rank mage. We learn here that she's more officially become a student of Serie, as well as see that it seems like she has at least a slight bit of martial knowledge as well, seeing as it isn't just Stark but also her who are parsing out and sort of figuring out the exact fighting style of our four-armed demon based on the wounds they inflicted. And as far as I remember, I believe she is the one who ultimately came up with the idea of the four-armed fighting style, which shows that even beyond magic, she has this cacophony of knowledge. So once again, she is sort of this generalist prodigy who I'm curious to see what other fields she touches on, if she actually knows how to fight martially or if she just more academically knows some things, and just generally explore her knowledge set and skill set more is something I'm excited to see. But personality wise, there's also this further emphasis building on something from season 1 of her viewing Serie as cute, adorable, and she acknowledges that she thinks the same of Frieren. Whether that is her general opinion on elves in general, or just the two elves we know that she has met, either way, she has a very sort of strong reaction to things she finds cute. The way she sort of lights up smiles is sort of the most emotion we've seen out of her in general, is when she's talking about cute things, and specifically those cute things being these ancient, legendarily powerful mages. But moving on from Methode, Geno was easily the spotlight of this episode, and to not linger on it too much, I will just sort of pinpoint a few things. First off, he has been a very sort of muted character in his expression of emotion. In season 1, we didn't really concretely show any major show of emotion from him, and to an extent, on a surface level, that continues to be the case here. But what I love about his sort of role in this episode and how he's portrayed is that though he isn't openly portraying big swings of emotion, great anger, great sadness, whatever, the way he acts still hints towards the emotion underneath the mask, the shell, whatever you want to call it. The impression he gives off is of this very practical, objective person, but even that we see not quite fully being the case or cracking a little bit at the seams. And where we see this is, well, throughout the entire episode pretty much, but I feel like there's sort of 3 or 4 key moments to explore that express something about him. Going chronologically for simplicity, we first have him finding the dying son of a baker who he knew because this was his hometown. And as he's finding this dying man, he has this internal dialogue that he ultimately isn't that attached to his hometown anymore, but still sad to see it destroyed, sort of detaching himself from the place. But then after that, having found the dying guy, bringing him to the church, talking about the dead members of the town, the amount of detail he goes into shows that even if he doesn't think of himself as having a connection to this town, he knows the people, he knows what they were like, he grew up here, he clearly still has a connection to it, and something within him is rattled by it being destroyed and the people killed. And really then the next big thing to show that internal sort of chaos of his emotions is when there is the momentary standoff between him and Frieren. Ultimately, it is a simple misunderstanding that doesn't escalate too far. Everyone involved is skilled and practical and quick thinking, so they were quick to act, quick to stop. But within that, where on the one side it's obvious why he acts as if there are enemies attacking, because he detects powerful mages, they're in a town destroyed by demons, he expects it to be demons that are still in the area. But the reason that Frieren moves to attack is because she senses his just sheer bloodlust as he prepares to cast a spell at her. The killing intent, as I think they put it, is so extreme that Frieren mistakes him for a demon. And unless that is just his normal state of being, of him being this rage-filled monster who just wears a mask of civility, unless he's that, it much more likely speaks to me as him having just this torrent of rage and seeking a vengeance against the demons that did this, that he won't openly express, but still within him is just there. And then finally, the last thing related to him that I'll touch on just to keep things brief is his conversation with Stark about what the people of the Northern Plateau do with their bodies of the dead. We learn that they don't burn the bodies, but they don't bury them nearby in their own towns. They transport them south so that they can be buried somewhere where it will not attract monsters to their towns. And in this, we have him acknowledging that there was a sort of debate on whether this is practical, that it would be a lot simpler and, once again, practical to just burn the bodies, to cremate them. Would save a lot of manpower, would save a lot of resources, would just keep things a lot simpler. And he acknowledges that he agrees with the practicality, the rationality of it. But ultimately, when giving the counter-argument, talking about how people didn't want to do that to the dead, didn't want to burn their dead, he acknowledges and sympathizes with the reasoning behind that, saying something along the lines of, it would be too cruel to burn away the bodies of those who suffered at the hands of monsters. Those who suffered through life and died, it would not be the right thing to do, it would not honor their life to burn away their bodies. And that is ultimately where it seems his stance lands. So, once again, this seemingly rational, down-to-earth, practical person is shown to express a more sympathetic and empathetic perspective on things that just from the first impression you may not expect. It just does a great job to flesh out his character from the somewhat one-note version of him that we had in season 1, because he really never was the focus. And it just makes me curious to see how he will continue to develop, evolve, what more we will learn of him going into this episode, today, and future episodes, assuming this episode doesn't end the arc, as I do truly wonder if he will be able to control his emotions as well as he has been when faced with the four-armed demon. Which does lead us towards the next episode. The one last thing I would like to acknowledge about him, and actually relates to Methode as well, is there's one moment where I believe it's Methode is talking to, like, Frieren or Fern or something like that. And it's in this moment where we have Methode mention that she was sent on this mission to, of course, help, but also to sort of observe and learn from Gano or Gano. But then at the same time, in that moment, we get a very brief flashback to some moment prior to the mission where Gano tells, presumably Methode, don't turn out like me, or something along those lines. So something about the way Gano views himself is something he does not like, or that he doesn't think others should try to replicate. But based on this episode alone, I don't necessarily have a specific, like, personality trait of his or course of action he took that I can think of that he specifically might regret or want to avoid having other people follow in his footsteps in that sense. So I'm curious to see if we'll get more context of why he sort of views himself that way, or thinks that he isn't necessarily the best mentor or inspiration. But we'll only really find that out if we get into the episode. So with enough delay, let's get started on episode 7. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, consider becoming a channel member if you want to support me just that little bit extra, and let's get into this. Alright, no cold open this time. But yeah, I'm very curious to see where we're going with this. Because if that demon, the four-armed one, really is a demon general, this could be a major battle up ahead. I mean, we have, what, 3 official first-class mages, plus Frieren, who in of herself is a bit more than the average first-class mage, and, of course, Stark to front line. We have a pretty good squad, all things considered. Methode can even supply healing. I don't think we necessarily know Gano's, like, heal specialty magic. We never really saw him doing magic. I might be misremembering, but I think there was one shot in season 1 that showed him, like, in silhouette or something, with wings, when we were talking about the, like, kind of magic you can receive from Sere when you become a first-class mage. I might be mixing that up or misinterpreting that, but maybe he can, like, fly? I don't know. That on its own wouldn't be enough crazy magic, because plenty of mages can fly. So I'll be curious to see what his kind of magic is that he mainly uses. But either way, I imagine solid team. The Divine Revolte. Oh boy. Oh, are we back at the... Yep, okay. Oh. For a while. Who was his partner? Who was his partner? Doesn't even look at her. Doesn't shake her hand. Distant. Only upon Sere's command does he do it? Huh. Distant or prone to not doing things without orders? Ew. Oh, we're really immediately getting into this stuff of what we think of ourselves. I take it he doesn't view himself as a good person? Oh, okay, that... exact opposite of me. Yeah. A heroic figure. Oh, wow, okay. Getting a glimpse of this other person. Okay. I wonder if he was a first-class mage. I'd imagine, given that they were partners, but... Views him as a fool, but also a good person. How did he die, though? No more than that? Protecting a child. The same demon? He's... okay. Forsaken countless people. But he has a history with this demon now, huh? Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if she had a greater reason. Hmm. Is he implying that about himself? Fair, fair. Mm-hmm. But are you a decent person? Yeah, don't end up like me. I'm not a decent person. I'm not a good person. Huh. Immediately more characterization. Okay. I'm really happy with that start. 4 demons. Okay. So the 4-armed one uh was a demon general. Yeah, okay. There was one snake demon. Maybe that one. This is one of the 4. Okay. Was I mixing up demon generals with what Arya was? Huh. Yeah, the more demonic appearance. Or monstrous, rather. Nope. Yeah. Knowledge and practice is a major thing in any kind of combat, so... Oh? Ooh. Lord Revolte. That's his name? Who's this demon child? 3 mages, huh? I wonder why. Huh. So the episode is named after this guy, huh? Oh. Ooh. I love manifesting the swords. Is he a Lamia? Ew. Intentionally provoking people? Trying to draw out these, like, powerful mages, perhaps? Concerning. But it looks like he might be a bit of a Lamia, like Snaketail and stuff. That actually is a very... Yeah, less Lamia, more like Merilith, if I'm not mixing up my names of stuff. Multi-armed, snake-like. Ew. He knows his prey. That's concerning. But we're once again seeing Gano having sentimentality. Hmm. I'm very curious to see what this child can do. Yes. Yes, we do. Ooh, I have a feeling we're going to explore that with Gano a lot. Huh. So he believes it's just the way things are, huh? Oh? set up for future character? Our other two demons? Looks like a mage and then someone else. Okay. Since we know their plans, this isn't for the best. Oh, Stark. They had a bit of a conversation. Smart. Very smart. Yeah, if they come back. Alone, though, against potentially 4 demons that are of that power. Yeah. Yeah. They can run, you can't. Then why are you staying? Yeah. Why would you stay if there was nothing to protect? Hmm. I'm loving the setup of this. I have a feeling they're going to attack Gano and Stark, which is going to be exciting. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That does not bode well. Yeah, I was thinking that they're... you may not think yourself a good person, but I think you are. Yeah. Hmm. Oh. Tying it back to his past. You're not the same person back then, Stark. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. You get used to it, but... Oh, that's a lie. That is a fucking lie. Sure, whatever you say. You don't have a rational answer? Hmm. Curious. Hmm. Yeah. It's a difficult life out here, but plenty of people live out here. Okay. Ooh, interesting. Hmm. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, sort of lets down the guard, like, of the demons if they attack. What? Excuse me? Oh boy, she has a fucking type. I wonder why. Yeah. Fern's already being protective. But sure, huh? Yo! I knew it. Oh my god. Methode knows how to fucking get what she wants. Fucking wild. Sarah hiding behind Gano is wild. Oh my god. Hmm? Oh, Methode, you're pushing it a little. You're pushing things. Oh my god. Wow, Methode is strong. Methode isn't even straining. Oh, okay. Have the demons split up 2-2? I like how all of them locked in at the moment they detected something. Yeah. Do they recognize how powerful Frieren is, though? Oh, is that a katana? Ooh, I love the blindfold. So presumably a mage of some kind, and whoever the samurai person is. Whether full martial, bit of magic, who knows? Presumably they have magic of some kind. Yeah, okay. Obscuring things. Ooh, we're getting into it. It's fight time. Immediately split up from Methode, though. That's concerning. Is this going to be a chance for Methode to show off? Yeah, they're just fucking bombarding this place. Huh. An unusual aura, huh? I assume they're talking about Methode because she's the tallest. Yeah. Sure you will, buddy. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Mortals took, well, not more, people took it from the demons. Hmm. Interesting. They have the specialty magic, but basic magic in their eyes is no big deal. Hmm. Yeah, well, they're up in the northern plateau, so probably survivors from the army. Okay, let's see what this this demon's capable of. Oh, did we ever see Methode's staff before? That almost looks like a glaive or like a long axe or something. Yeah. So you take point? Okay. Hmm. Damn. Sure it was. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate yourself. Concerning. Ooh, we're getting the battle music. Or like the build up to battle. Better than you? Yeah. Hmm. Fair. Just hit him with the fucking rapid fire barrage. Ooh, the air. I assume this mist is his specialty magic. Ooh, the cut. Yo! He actually caught big fish. He caught real fish. Character development. Uh-huh. God, she really is a bit motherly, huh? And time for their fight? Oh, fair. They both have the women that they don't want to anger. Damn. Hmm. Not taking the fish, huh? Yeah. Fair. The Divine Revolt. Yeah. That's just his name, huh? Yeah. Yeah, magically created swords. Got a glimpse of that. Ew. Okay. Sort of a... Okay. Similar, but distinctly different from the constant weapon changing of the other demon from season 1. Yeah. Well, most demons kill people. Curious. Hence tying up some of the fact that so many people were killed with so few being eaten. Okay, the enemies arrived. Hmm. I have a feeling it's gonna be Divine Revolt against Stark, because Stark's fought a similar enemy before, and it's the more martial of the two, and then the more kid-looking demon will be Gano. Ooh, boy! Ooh, I love his design. I'm super curious to see how he fights. But, the kid demon seemed interested in learning about Gano, so I have a feeling that makes sense for the pairing. This guy is fucking imposing. Hmm. Yep. Hmm. Even if he doesn't care about why humans act the way they do, he predicts them well. I wonder why. Fair. Good idea. With how tricky his fighting style is, I imagine that would be a bad idea. Cool. That's a line we've heard before. Ooh, the double sword. I love it. I loved some of these shots. Yeah, both of them view each other as pests. Let's do it. Ooh, boy, we're getting into it. I wonder where that kid demon is, though. Ooh, I love the force behind these swings. I love the dynamism we're getting already. Come on, Stark. No, what are you gonna do, though? Oh? Really? God, I'm so curious to see what his magic is. Ooh, lifting himself by the sword. Ooh. I love sort of the way they... Ooh. Ah! I love this already. It's been a minute since we've had a really, really solid fight scene. Uh-huh. He creates things. The wings. Okay, we got the wings. How do those work? What do they do? Naleo wings? Or Naleo wings? Well, Nalo wings? He seems to recognize it. That's where we cut off, god damn it. Huh. So we only tease what his magic is. Divine Revolt seems to recognize it. Huh. I assume we're not supposed to recognize anything about it ourselves. Hmm. Okay, okay. I'm liking our matchups. I'm slightly worried that we don't know where the child is. Well, obviously they're not a child, but like the childlike demon. Hmm. Okay, okay. We've got our matchups, though, largely speaking. Divine Revolt versus Gano and Stark, at least for the time being, until the child demon shows up, if that's the place they show up. I feel like that's where it would make more sense to, though I guess hypothetically with Frieren sort of going to do their own thing. I slightly missed the line of what she said she was going to do, so I'll double check that. But with Frieren sort of going off, leaving Fern rather, to deal with the Mist Mage demon, it's possible Frieren will run into the kid demon. But I'm looking forward to seeing Frieren test her mettle against the demon. She thinks she's not cut out for it. Frieren thinks she is. We'll see. I'm curious to see more of Methode. I'm very interested by her staff. Like I said, it looks like it might be actually a bit of a martial weapon as well. So we really are getting into this arc. It really is going to be a bigger thing. I'm very, very curious to see how these battles play out. I'm curious to see if it somehow tries to get all of them into 1 or 2 episodes, or if we're really going to go fight to fight almost. I don't know. Frieren is good at doing dynamic fights, but depending on how much actual narrative and thematic content they try to give to each fight, it's possible that they might take, honestly, the majority of the rest of the season for this. I feel like they realistically will have faster pacing than 1 fight an episode. I realistically think we'll be jumping between them, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the majority of an episode is dedicated to Fern fighting the Mist Demon and Methode fighting the Samurai Demon, and that sort of being paired, and then Divine Revolt and maybe the Kid Demon against Gano and Stark, probably with some Gano backstory or revelation tied into all that. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of ways it could go, but we have 4 combatants, and there's 5 of us, and we so far have 3 of the enemies in play, 1 unaccounted for, and 2 of us paired up as one-on-one matches, 2 of us paired in a 2v1, and Frieren sort of doing whatever she plans to do. She may not be leaving Fern behind, because she just said she's going to leave the fighting up to Fern, but we don't know necessarily what Frieren is intending to do. Either way, it is very exciting, and ultimately, because it's a lot of setup for these fights, there isn't as much necessarily thematic and narrative, character stuff to dig into here necessarily, but there is some interesting stuff. First off, there's, at the beginning of the episode, this further expansion of the thing I was talking about at the beginning of the video from last episode, of Gano's view of himself as a bad person, of this person who has done terrible things and karmically perhaps is now being punished for it in his eyes. And he views good people, kind, charismatic, outgoing people who would sacrifice themselves to save a child, people like his previous partner, people like Stark, as foolish, but also acknowledges that people shouldn't turn out like him. And by the nature of him saying, don't turn out like me, I'm the opposite of a good person, implies that it would be much better for people to turn out like a good person. Of course, he might be trying to aim for a point more so of find a middle ground of don't be an idiot, don't sacrifice yourself for random people you don't know, but also don't throw away your humanity like I have. But then at the same time, I don't believe his assessment of himself. I do not believe that he is a emotionless person. He claims he's feeling nothing at the loss of his hometown, that he just isn't sad. But based on everything I mentioned about last episode, I firmly believe that is not the case. I firmly believe that even if he cannot recognize or acknowledge his own emotions, they are still there. He just refuses to acknowledge them. He has become hardened and calloused to cruelty and all of this just horrible stuff that happens around him because he has gone through such horrible things, both presumably done to him and stated specifically that he has done to others, whether directly or indirectly. He is not a perfect person by any means. He clearly has done some bad things that he doesn't love that he's done, but he did them, and whatever they were, he does not deny that. Inevitably, he's doing it to not feel all of the horrible emotion that he would feel if he just let himself try to process everything. He'd rather build up this dam of just nothingness, of no feeling, to hold off that surge of just pain and anguish and hate and guilt and rage and whatever else. But it can't help but trickle through and may, at some point soon, burst through and just fully unleash itself. We'll see. I feel like very much his battle with the Divine Revolt is going to be a big test of that. But perhaps even more so if he ends up facing off against the Demon Kid, as I have been calling them for lack of a better name, with the Demon Kid clearly being interested in learning about humans, understanding how they tick. It could be a very interesting battle between the two of them, because with the messiness of fighting the Divine Revolt, with all of his history, with them having killed his partner and now having destroyed his hometown, that supplies the extreme emotion bubbling underneath. And then if you have this other demon who is actively just hammering away at the dam, being like, what makes you tick? What do you think of yourself? How do you feel? What makes you do the things you do? I want to understand, even if it's for these purely academically, if not cruelly curious manner, rather than just an actual therapeutic sense. It could serve with that sort of 1-2 punch of the Kid Demon and the Divine Revolt to really break through to the side of him he's sort of closed off, if that truly is what's going on with him. Beyond that, though, I imagine we'll have some good showing from Stark. Stark really is just sort of the bedrock of a lot of these fights when it comes to just standing strong, keep fighting, that kind of thing. I imagine we'll probably get a little bit of characterization for him, a little bit of sort of build up of him as we continue forward, because I don't think the story's going to neglect him for a thematic standpoint, but very much on that side of the fighting, I think Gano is the more interesting and more likely to be explored piece. On the other side, Frieren, whatever Frieren's doing is Frieren stuff. Fern is going to have her fight, probably going to get a bit of a moment for herself there to sort of prove to herself more than anything what she's capable of. But then, alongside all of this, we have the Methode fight, which after the Gano side is the one I'm most interested in, because like I was mentioning at the start of the video about last episode, I'm very curious to see what her fighting style actually is like. We've not actually seen how she fights, what her full scope of capabilities is. We know that she's a first-class mage, we know she can do goddess magic, we know that she has some martial knowledge, so I wouldn't be surprised if she actually has a really dynamic and interesting fighting style where she has this potentially more martially combative staff that, if I'm assessing it right, serves as both a staff and potentially a more sort of polearm. So that way she has a weapon that she can sort of augment her magic alongside to be martially fighting someone. Perhaps she enhances her own physicality. Perhaps she does his goddess magic to sort of buff herself, heal herself from any injuries, that kind of thing. We obviously don't know what her specialty magic is necessarily. We just know what she can do in a more general sense. On top of that, we don't know what magic she got from Serie, so there's sort of a lot of mysteries of what she's truly capable of, and that is something I'm very excited to see from her. Beyond that, though, beyond all the fights and what they set up to be, and what it could mean for characters, really the only other thing I'd like to comment on is the sheer ridiculousness of Methode pushing and manipulating Frieren into letting her pat her head and hug her. It's just following up on all the things from last time of her being obsessed with people she finds cute, that kind of thing. But I don't really have too much more to say about that. So I think I'm going to leave things there. I don't think I've missed anything, all things considered. It was a lot of setup. Oh, actually, the one other thing I want to note that's just sort of an acknowledgement of something I'm curious about is I'm very curious about this demon who is studying humans that the Divine Revolt mentioned. I have a feeling that someone will meet later on or continue to be teased for a while. There's a lot of ways that a demon who is actively studying humans could be taken. They could be more of a sort of strange scholar type character. They could be a strategist, something like that. They very well might be a character that we're beginning to build up to, that though they may not have necessarily like a unified front of leading all of the demons or anything, it is entirely possible that they may be sort of an unofficial successor to the Demon King or something like that. Someone who has the intellect and strategic mind to actually, in realistically much more guerrilla tactics compared to what full armies could achieve, fight against humanity and potentially push back and sort of rebuild the glory of the demons, perhaps. It also is possible they'll just be sort of like the next big demon that we face, and it won't be that crazy a thing, just sort of like the next big thing. There's a lot of ways that we could take that character. They might show up soon, they might show up in like seasons from now, who knows? They might be the final big bad. Either way, I just wanted to acknowledge that, because that's a very intriguing character to seed for the future. With that though, I don't think I'm forgetting anything else. So I'll leave things there. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and very special thanks to all my channel members, including Amorphosilica, Dweller, Pokelove101, and Unusual Echo at the normal tier, and Kono Nano at the cool person tier. Really appreciate your support, as always, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye!